What is up, guys, and welcome back to the Sweat It Out podcast.
If you want to be successful, look inside.
We don't like sitting in the discomfort.
Then all of a sudden that day came when I got $20 and 2 free drinks to do a show, and I was like, oh shit, here we go, baby. You know?
Thank God she hasn't caught a chicken yet, because she'll tear her head off.
Don't be soft.
That patience is key.
If all my friends are winning, then it's going to make me want to win more.
What is up, guys, and welcome back to the Sweat It Out podcast. Today we have a very, very special guest. He's the founder of World Class Sales LLC, spoke on 130 stages in 60 plus cities, trained over 300K plus salespeople. Guys, he was labeled the world's #1 sales trainer of 2020. Please help us welcome the one and only Daniel G. What's up, my brother?
Hey, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it. I'm excited to do this.
No, we've been excited to have you on, man. So glad we got this scheduled in and ready to rock. I know you're busy yourself, running your teams, helping other people's teams, and we're definitely excited to see how you maneuver your lifestyle and how you help other people. So first off, I want to say thank you again. And brother, how you been?
Man, amazing. Stuck here in Toronto, Canada, but also a blessing managing a couple sides of my business here for the last year. Crazy because I've been on the road, for the last before this pre-pandemic. Like I was on the road every other day. I was at a different event, different conference, training a different team, different city, and everything just came to a complete stop, which was crazy for me because I was used to the fast life, constantly meeting new people, human interaction, and then things have just shifted as it did for everybody. But, you just got to learn how to pivot and learned a lot of lessons, and business has been doing very good.
How has it been for you up in Canada? I mean, obviously we're down here in the United States, and we've had a couple people from Western Canada, but how's it been in Ontario and specifically in Toronto for you, coming kind of out? I know that they've kind of been in and out of lockdowns, correct, in Ontario lately. Yeah. How's it been for you dealing with your business, moving into kind of this post-pandemic world?
I mean, so Canada has been super strict on the lockdown rules, like the traveling rules, coming back inside of the country. Now, the biggest things that were getting affected here in Canada were, small business owners, people that have gyms, restaurants. I know you guys are down in Miami, so, restaurants have already opened back up, lounges, gyms. We have none of that open back up right now, right? So we're in March right now. No businesses, storefronts really. I think malls just opened back up at like 25% capacity. So the answer is, small business owners have been getting affected. A lot of my friends have been getting affected, that have restaurants and gyms. And my business, so I run a sales agency, which maybe we can get into after, I'm grateful that it has been skyrocketing over the pandemic because we service a lot of online educators that need sales reps, and a lot of these online educational platforms like you guys, health and fitness, e-commerce platforms, foreign exchange platforms, social media marketing platforms that need a salesperson, they would come to us. So the online space has obviously blown up in the last year and a half, which has been a blessing for us as well. So, it's been a lot less of me working right now, aside from doing things like this, working on the business. I've been inside the business because I've been fortunate enough to be inside of my office, which I haven't been able to do in the last 2.5 years, but I've been with my sales guys now, with my sales managers, training a lot of my team in-house, where on the road, I was doing a lot of working on the business. So meeting guys like you on the road, speaking on stages. So it's been a little bit of a shift, but it's allowed me to come back and work inside of the business, which has been amazing.
So Daniel, I got to ask you, seeing where things are now, right? So being with your team hands-on even more now, like you're saying, your managers, your sales guys, being able to get in front of people that you were, having to go travel, get on stage or meet in person just like this. Is this going to have you staying to do this more, or are you going to actually go back to doing some of what you were doing before at a high level?
No, I can't wait to get back on the road. I don't give a shit what people say. I love the Zoom calls. Like if my listeners are watching, they know my energy on the Zoom calls are 100x, just like they are on stages. And it's crazy to me too, because we could still pack out a Zoom room of 1,000 people, but the human energy interaction, right? You can't replace that. So I can't 100%. Wait to get back on the road. Humans, human beings are, created to have compassion. Like you need to interact with people. And if there's one thing that has been stripped away from us has been compassion, interaction. And you could just see it, like you could see people's energy levels now, like, you know, like people are losing that compassion. And I think that's the thing that is kind of scary. It's like, you know, when you sneeze, somebody looks at you in a bad way. It's like, hey, by the way, I'm a human, you're a human, you know, just, you could still say bless you, even though I have my mask or whatever the case is. So that's kind of the scary thing, you know? But yeah, I can't wait to get back on the road and travel.
How can you seeing that, you know, we could all use a little more compassion nowadays? How do you utilize that into, you know, what you're doing with sales? And how do you see, you know, more incorporation of that heading into the future as well in order to make, you know, sales a little more sustainable for a lot of people?
Yeah, good question. I mean, that if that's not there, the salesperson is obsolete. Like the car salesman, the insurance salesman, the phone salesman, it's obsolete. Because when you look at sales, it's good that you asked that question, because when you break it down, right, you have the person that wants to work hard and go find the people, which is like the audacity to go out there and prospect and drum up leads and do the whole branding and marketing. That's the audacity to go do it. But now if you bring people inside of your funnel and now you don't have compassion, and whatever that looks like, asking them the right questions, whether it's on a sales call, asking them the right questions, getting empathetic with them. If you don't have the compassion, well, you're going to lose them. Or you don't have the customer service, you're going to lose them. If you hype up your program too much and you had the audacity to go prospect and you were hyping up too much and they come back in and you don't have that human intimacy and the interaction with, well, you're going to lose the customer. And I said the third thing was the discipline. So you can have the audacity to reach out to people. You can have the compassion to, you know, be intimate with them and have conversations with them and actually care about their situations and go a little bit deeper when they said, you know, yeah, you know, my health has been struggling. Well, why has it been struggling? Well, I'm overweight. Well, here's not the quick fix. Here's not the quick pill. Oh, you're overweight. Oh, your knee hurts. Well, maybe you're a little bit overweight. Why are you a little bit over? And you get a little bit deeper. That's the compassionate part, asking a little bit more questions. But then the third thing is discipline. And I think this is where people lose it in business, because you can have the audacity to reach out to people. You can be compassionate enough to keep them inside of your proximity. But if you don't have the discipline to follow up with that person, this is any good coach, any good business person, any good salesperson. If you have the discipline after the conversation where they told you no, or they need a little bit of time to follow back up with them, well, then you could kiss the business or the sale goodbye. So all those three things got to be in line, like the work ethic, the compassion, the caring, and the, hey, I'm going to be disciplined enough to follow up and do this every single day.
So I love that you brought that up at the end, because I'm a huge believer in the powers in the follow-up. So why is it that so many people have a problem, or they see a lack in following up when it comes to their own business? Why do you think that disconnect?
They don't trust it. They don't trust in the numbers. So this is the honest truth. They don't know their numbers, and if they do know their numbers, they don't trust in their numbers. Because if they knew their numbers, they would realize that 60% of customers say no 3 times before they say yes. Mm. So when I hear that, it's like, okay, well, 90% of salespeople don't follow up, and the 10% of do, you know, they don't do it correctly. And then 90% that don't is because they don't believe in their process. They don't believe in the follow-up process, or they don't believe in their numbers. They don't know it, or they don't believe in their numbers. And when they do follow up, they do it incorrectly. They don't have the discipline to do it. But it goes down to them not believing in their sales process or what their numbers are.
So you said that, you know, most people will say no 3 times before they say yes. What goes into the process behind, you know, getting people to trust you enough? Because I assume a big part of them getting to say yes inevitably is the trust factor in you and your product. What goes into making them trust you a little more so that they do say yes? And how do you maybe accelerate that process if you can?
Yeah. The beautiful thing is, so to answer the first question, well, let me answer the second one. You can't accelerate it. And I wish you could build a button on trust. Now you could, the way to do it is you ask more questions, you get more empathetic, and you become more compassionate about the individual. The thing, as a prospect, what you're looking for is, does that person care about me? That's what you're looking for. It's like if I'm on a phone call with Mendez, it's like if he asks me a question and I reply, and then he asks another question that was completely unrelated to my reply, well, you're losing my trust because you don't care about me. You care about the individual when you're like, wait, Dan, pause. Okay, listen. Yeah, we have a whole thing to go through in the next hour, but you just told me something which is super important to me as a coach, and I'm going to treat you as a student right now in this call. You said X, Y, Z. Can we dig a little bit deeper and can you tell me a little bit more about? Boom, that right there builds, this guy's listening. writing down notes. Hey, okay, perfect. Under your breath, $14,000 a month, and you want to you want to lose 3,000, shows that you're listening. So things like asking questions, listening, that all comes into empathy. That's what builds a trust, which is super important, obviously, in the sales cycle.
Mm-hmm. It's all about building that relationship, right? Like over time, playing the long game, which a lot of people aren't willing to play nowadays, unfortunately.
Yeah, 150%. Yeah, the patience game mixed. Obviously, I think the fine balance is this. It's like you play the patience game, but like you also always have to add, or the deal will never get done, or business will never. You also have to add the sense of urgency as well, right?
Agreed.
So it's like, and there's a big wait. Let me ask yourself. There's a big difference between pressuring somebody to buy your stuff or adding a little bit of a sense of urgency. So if your viewers are listening, they're like, what the heck's the difference? Pressure is a conflict of internal values. What that essentially means is it feels weird when you tell somebody, hey, we have a sale and you have to buy today. That's pressure. Urgency is, hey, listen, you know what? You really don't have to onboard into our coaching program or a fitness program or a health program, whatever the case is. However, obviously you may have a plan B. What's plan B for the next 6 months? If you don't onboard with us, boom, you ask a question that generates a sense of urgency. You allow them to generate the answer, and that's how they would move forward rather than saying, hey, you have to buy from us. So there's a really big difference there between pressure and urgency, right?
Yeah, I love that. That's a great bomb right there.
So now going into, deeper with the follow-up, what is your follow-up process, and what do you always recommend, especially coaches or other sales teams out there to be able to start when they're building a foundation for that follow-up process? Is it, make sure you're dialed in with your content so that way when they keep seeing your content and then, set up an appointment with them the following week? Like, what do you do when it comes to the follow-up?
Yeah, you just hit. So you hit the first one was, of course, keep your content consistent because, they're going to be watching you for the next 6 months, the next 3 months, whatever the case is. But number two, you also said, set the intention and set the date, which a lot of people don't do. So they're like, hey, I'll touch base with you next week. Well, you lost the sale because like between Monday this week and Monday next week, life gets in between. And the only person that's thinking about them is you, and they're not thinking about you. Like you're thinking about getting the sale. They're not thinking about you for the whole week, and life gets in between. People have kids, people have chores, priority. If it's not in the schedule, it doesn't get done for a lot of people, right? So, hey, does 3 p.m. next Monday work good? Is there a reason why you wouldn't be able to show up? Are you sure? Right? Lock it in, confirm that they're showing up. Now, here's what I'm going to say. If you've showed something to somebody and it was nonchalant, whatever, it was a PDF, it was a video, whatever the case is, and you got ghosted on the follow-up, I always say 3 and 30. So you could touch base with them in 3 days, remain in posture and say, hey, listen, Anthony, I've been super busy on my end. And I said, remain in posture. Don't give them the leverage. Hey, I've been super busy on my end and I totally forgot to reach out to you in the last few days, right? I would love to jump on a quick 5-minute call because I have some new things that I want to show you, right? Whether or not this would be the right fit, you can let me know, but let's jump on a quick 5-minute call this evening. What time works out for you, 7 or 9 o'clock? So you remain in posture. You say, I've been super busy, and as I'm sure you have as well, I have a few other things that I want to show you that I think you would like based on our last conversation or based on my research. Whether or not you think this would be a right fit for you, just let me know on a quick 5-minute call. What I did there was this. I said, hey, listen, I'm busy, you're busy, number one. Number two, in follow-up, you follow up with 2 things. Number one, you just don't touch base to say, hey, listen, are you ready to start? That is the worst thing to do in follow-up. By saying, are you ready to start? If somebody was ready to start, they would buy. Anytime I was ready to buy something, whether it had been from Amazon checkout to a house to a car, whatever, I knew when I was ready to buy. I couldn't wait the next morning to start or to buy it, or it's constantly been on my head. So there's 2 ways to follow up. Either you just pop in and pop out, but you don't ask if you're ready. Say, hey, Merry Christmas. You're just touching base. Oh, this guy's always so nice. He just always, but you don't ask for the sale. Or you follow up with some sort of content and some sort of value to bring back in the sale based on your last conversation, based on you doing research. So it's, hey, I've been thinking about you for the last 3 months. Based on our last conversation, I find this would be super valuable. I want to review it for the next 3 minutes to get your insight and see if you're compatible with this. So it's A, Merry Christmas, Jennifer, boom, bounce. Don't say, hey, so are you ready to start the sale? No, if they were ready, they'd probably start the sale. Or 2, follow up with some sort of content or some sort of value to re-engage the prospect.
Love that. Absolutely love that. Now, I want to ask you, when it comes to handling some of these objections, I know it's a little different when you're on a call or on a Zoom call versus on a DM or a message. In this situation, how would you go about handling an objection where somebody's trying to give you the runaround?
Context, meaning they're saying what to you over the DM.
So let's say they're just like, oh, you know, I haven't got around. I'll take a look at it later. I'll reach out to you when I'm done reading it. I'm done taking a look at the video.
Gotcha. I'm going to DM Anthony back and I'm going to say, hey, Anthony, you know what? I don't know if you've been following me for a while, but I'm all in inside of my business. And it seems like, this might not be the right priority or the right fit for you. That's totally fine, right? You don't have to make no decision right now. I'm going to run along with my business and I'm going to follow back up with you in the next 6 months, right? It doesn't seem like you're that serious right now. And I'm looking for people that are all in. I'm going to take back the posture. And that's super important because the whole thing in sales, which I want everybody to realize right now, the moment you give them that posture and that lever, you lost the sale because they will keep they will just keep stroking you the whole, hey, okay, I'm ready to do it. And then they just want to see another price. Okay, are you ready? It's like the buyer will always do one or two things. They will either defend and never tell you they're ready or never tell you how much they're ready to invest. That's the defense mechanism, which I'm programmed to do, by the way. Like we're not programmed to talk to salespeople and tell them what our budget is. We're programmed to defend our cards. If you walk inside of a mall, you're not programmed to go up to the retail salesperson and say, yes, this is what I'm looking for and this is my budget. When they ask you, hey, what are you looking for today? You're like, nothing, I'm just shopping. That's your program. But you may as well, you probably know how much you're walking to the mall, how much you're going to spend, but your program is just to defend your cards and say, yeah, nothing, I'm just, so that's one defense mechanism. The other mechanism is to over embellish the prospect or over embellish the salesperson and say, yeah, I'm ready to get started, to get them hyped up. And when you get the salesperson hyped up, they're going to jump quickly and give you the price. So as a salesperson, you're trying to see, hey, is this person in a state of defense or is this person trying to hype me up so I give them my product and my price really quickly? And that's super important to identify so you can remain in control throughout the sale, right?
And what are some characteristics for both of those that you commonly find when you're on your sales calls?
Yeah, I mean, right away you could tell by the language of an individual. You could see when, okay, what's the price? How much does this thing cost? Weak salesperson. Well, it's $6,000. Let me tell you exactly. Now you got to build value on top of the price. Hey, Anthony, that's a super good question. And you know what? Since you asked me that, I'm going to get to that in the next 5 minutes. The reason being why, I have to go through this conversation is because we have a wide variety of products that is custom tailored towards every single one of our clients. So what I want to do right now in this call is to see if you're the right fit for us and if we're the right fit for you. And then I'll see if we have something that's the right appropriate package for you. Is that cool? Yes, 100%. Hey, by the way, Anthony, you told me X, Y, Z. Can we dig a little bit deeper? Again, remaining in posture, knowing that they want to over embellish and rush the sale just because they asked for the price right away. Hey, I don't know if I have time to do something like this. And they're asking you questions. It's like, okay, well, let me come back into control. Sales is about asking questions. It's about, that's what sales is. When you get somebody that's good at sales, they're going to be able to answer something and then ask another question over that and remain in control. Just like a great freaking politician or lawyer. Right?
Yeah, it's 100% spot on there, man.
Spot on. So you mentioned something there. When you get a really good salesperson, a sales guy, do you feel that salespeople are made or they're born salespeople?
Both. I don't there's here's the deal. The born salesperson can only get so far. The born salesperson can only go so far with their charisma and positive attitude. And honestly, the person that is made from somebody like myself, that may even be the introvert, can listen a little bit better and ask a little bit better questions. My top sales guys have been engineers. Those guys aren't freaking, half of them aren't extroverts. And so they're the quiet ones in my office. The loudest ones don't always make the most money. So some people look at me, they're like, I have to have the gift of the gab like Daniel. No. In sales, you're listening and you're identifying the customer's pain points and to provide them the right solution. So to me, the person that is charismatic, that has the gift of the gab, that will shoot them in the foot when they've learned how to hit 6 figures in income. Because it'll take you to 6 figures. It'll take you to $100,000, couple $100,000, but it's not going to take you plus. What's going to take you plus that is the ability to listen, identify, solve problems, recommend a solution. And that just comes from a process. That comes from following a script. And typically the ones that are made, however you framed it, tend to ask the better questions and listen a little bit better and follow the script. So I always say the introverts that think they're counted out in sales, because I've trained them from A to Z, they tend to do a lot fucking better because they follow the script, they follow the process, they listen and they ask the right questions and they don't jump. Because the only person that likes hearing the sound of their own voice in a sales conversation is yourself. So it's like, you know, you can make a great salesperson.
All right, so the next person I'm going to put looking for a salesperson, are you introvert or extrovert?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You know, and you mentioned, you know, sticking to the script, and earlier you brought up being disciplined in your schedule. If it doesn't get written down, it doesn't get done. What about having a script that you can stick to in the first place, and then being able to refine that script over time as you start to really hone in on the demographic that you want to pitch to? You know, what is so important about the whole process of coming up with that script and utilizing it in your sales pitch?
Yeah. So I don't think here's the deal. What people don't realize is scripts and role plays provides confidence in an individual. It's a fallback. If you don't have that, you don't have anything in sales. Like if you don't understand the structure, if you don't have, oh yeah, but I know, do you know how many sales guys come inside of my office with a big ego and they think they know a script, or they think they know how to deal with objections, and then I hit them with a right hook objection, and then they just, again, wing it, and they don't know how to anticipate it correctly. Like, I don't have money, I want to think about it, let me talk to my spouse, and they wing it because they just go back off their charisma or their positive energy and good enthusiasm. So to me, a script is 150% fallback. It is the structure, is the skeleton of the sales process. And I think that's super important. However long it takes you to get, the script provides, you know, competence inside of your structure and inside of your, you know, your company. When you're competent, you're a lot more confident. When you're a lot more confident, you want to do it again and you want to do it more. And that's sales. And I think just like anybody, any good athlete would practice before they go play, that's what you do with a script. You practice with a partner, like you have a gym buddy, you practice with that person, you get a little bit better. You guys give each other, you know, constructive criticism and feedback. And then you go use it inside of the sales process. You don't want to necessarily practice on your customers. Like LeBron James doesn't practice his game 7 winning shot in game 7. He's done it a million times with 4 people putting hands over his eyes and stuff, and boom, he's done it like a million times. Now it looks easy in game 7, but he's done it a million times. When I handle an objection, right, like what Anthony sees on Instagram, and they're like little clips on Instagram, oh, you're so good. Dude, do you know how many times I've said that objection? And in so many different, like a million, like the answer didn't come to me, right? How many times, how many hours you sit down before a video and rehearse? I don't, because I've done it a million times. So if somebody asks me, hey, I want to think about it, I know how to deal with it right away because I've said it a million times since I was 15. And every time as I used, so I start off with one objection to answer the question. I start off with one objection. And then when I realized what was working and what wasn't working, I kind of switched it up, right? As I went down the decade in sales, I'm like, okay, you know what? When I said this, the customer, and this is intuition, this has to be built after application. It's like you build this muscle. Okay, when I said that sounded a little bit weird. Let me tweak it. They didn't laugh right there. I try to use this and that really wasn't me. So let me tweak that. Let me eliminate that. So you repeat what works, you delete what doesn't in the script, right?
Yeah, and you really do have to kind of take it, and I'm sure Anthony will double down on this a little bit as well. You know, you really do have to take it and use it as something that you can assess afterwards and start refining as like an actual process, right? And I feel like a lot of people just leave it at like, okay, well, I'm done with the call, you know, and they don't take that 5-10 minutes afterwards to kind of think about, well, how did it go? How were people feeling? You know, did they laugh at that joke that I said, or was it just like a waste of time when I could have implemented another question, for example, you know, and dug a little deeper into what was going on in their life?
Yeah, no, and it's just, at least for me, the way I put it is like, it's so important to have that framework, right? You know, you have that framework and understanding that in every call is going to be different. So you also have to know how to adapt, right? You have to know how to adapt on the call. The same way you're in a position in business, you got to learn how to adapt in business because everything's going to be thrown at you differently. But with that framework, like you mentioned, it helps to, if you catch yourself, okay, we're going off the wrong path a little bit. Let's reel it back in. Let's get back in here. Here's a framework. Okay, let's get back into where we were going. Same thing with the prospect, right? Sometimes the prospect gets off the framework a little bit and they start talking about other things that, you know, has nothing to clearly do. All right, let's reel them back in. So yeah, the scripts, frameworks, so important. I'm glad you spoke about that. I myself learn from you all the time, brother. And you know, it's truly grateful to be in your presence as well. Now I want to ask you being the leader, you've learning this.
By the way, Anthony, that's such a good thing that you brought up, like, because either you follow your script or you follow the prospect script.
Uh-huh.
Like they never have an agenda to buy. And I don't think people realize this. Like prospects do not come in there with the complete agenda to say, hey, these are the questions I'm going to ask, and this is what I'm going to buy. So it's either you follow your script or you follow their script. And their script is probably 99.9% of the time is not going to end up in a sale.
Oh, it's chaotic. It's so chaotic.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
Yeah,
oh, well, like, what do you think?
Down another path.
Yeah, what do you think about like green tea extract or like apple cider vinegar? I'm like, I don't think about either of those. Like, all right, how's the weight loss been going for you? It hasn't been? Okay, perfect.
Yes, yeah. And as you answer those, you just keep getting pushed back inside of the corner, and then it never leads into a sale. You lose all control.
And then it's that weird situation. Like, what do I do now? Do I put them on another call, or I don't even know where to go from here? So true. So speaking about, obviously we're talking about sales and you being a sales expert and leader and master of your craft. How do you duplicate that, or how do you teach that when it comes to a team format? Because I know one of the hardest things to do is you've gotten some great sales guys who come around, and now when they're putting their business together for whatever their offer is, sometimes it becomes really hard for them on the leadership portion to actually show that and teach that to other salespeople or when they're hiring. How do you go about that? How's your process when you work with your team? You mentioned role plays. You mentioned how you spend time with them. What do you do, as a sales guy with your sales team? What do you do? And walk us through that, because I think that would be some awesome value for everybody on here.
Yeah, number one, again, we'll start with the fundamental, which is role play, number one. Number two, what I think is important is listening not only to myself, but listening to yourself. And I think that is so undervalued. And I'm just going to say this based on everybody. Like, I got really good at speaking. I've never had a speaking coach in my life. Okay. I spoke on hundreds of stages, never had a speaking coach. So people are like, oh, I've never had somebody that coached me. I had one piece of advice that changed my life. I had a friend, she was in the speaking industry, in the 80s. And she gave me one word of advice. I was getting on a plane. She's like, hey, by the way, before you just finish that talk, before you get on a plane, she's like, just go listen to your talk. And I'm like, everybody hates listening to the sound of their own voice. Everybody's like, yo, fuck it, that talk.
I haven't listened to a single one of these podcasts that we've had. We've got over 130 episodes.
It's the same thing with rappers. You hear rappers are like, I don't like listening to my own music.
Yeah, so crazy. But then you realize the improvement that you make when you sit and so that was the advice. I sat down. Remember, I was going from New York to Newport Beach, California, like whatever, 4 or 5 hours. And I replayed that talk 6, 7 times. I never did it. Let's say I did 50 talks before that. I never did that. And I looked at it, I said, wow, now I know where I'm tripling down. And now I know what the fuck I'm never saying. Nobody laughed to that joke. Okay, well, it was funny to you, but you're in front of a crowd right now, right? And you probably said that joke 17 times. Okay, today you're gonna try it out one more time. You're gonna listen to your recording tomorrow. If it doesn't crack, if they don't crack, well, delete it. Repeat what works, delete what doesn't. So I think number one, listen to the sound of your own voice on sales calls, 150%. You will be your best critic inside of business and sales. You will see it. Humans are smart people, okay? Number two, do not become biased towards your own action. I think that's super important as a leader to understand. We as leaders do so many things throughout the day that are wins and losses that never get reverse engineered, and we don't share them back to our sales team. Like, I would be a bad leader if I came off this podcast, I said something that clicked in with me or clicked in with you guys, and then I just went on with my day without jumping back into one of my offices and saying, hey guys, by the way, everybody go listen to the sound of your own voice, because that's being biased towards my own action just to make myself a little bit better. Or something that didn't work throughout the day. Hey guys, listen, I said this on a call. We're gonna have to delete this because this isn't working on a call. Reverse engineering the losses and the wins and giving it back to your team. Again, super important. Buddy up systems and partner up systems, I think, again, is super undervalued inside of sales. And the way people go about sales as well. I think people go about sales the wrong way. If you go back to the beginning of this podcast, how I said sales was about audacity to go after, just people in general and going hard, like prospecting in the beginning stages to drum up business. People go after the wins, and that's where they get fucked up inside of their business. Meaning, like, I train my salespeople to say, hey, how many no's did you get today? Oh, you got 17? Oh, I got 25. I'm going to crush you this week. And eventually, like, if somebody's saying that in their head, eventually the person that is saying that, I got 25, I'm going to crush you this week, that person's eventually going to get better. If the bench warmer just keeps on practicing day in and day out, and the starter stops practice, well, eventually the bench warmer is going to outdo the starting lineup, and he's going to get better than that individual. So I know everybody's heard it before, but it's true. It stands true. It's like chase the no. And eventually, you know, as you do that, you will get better in the process. And the beautiful thing about sales is, where's the fucking, okay, wait. Everybody, and I was thinking about when I woke up this morning, I'm like, everybody's talking about, what is it? The 10,000 hour greatness, 10,000 hours. So everybody talks about 10,000 hours. And then I woke up this morning, I'm like, who the fuck's the person talking about 100 hours just to get good at something?
Right.
You know, nobody's talking about the 100 hours.
I love that.
Everybody's talking about, hey, 10,000 hours to be great at this, 10,000 hours to be great at fitness, 10,000 hours to be great at sales. Hold up. Where's the person just saying, hey, put in 100 hours in prospecting, you will be 100 times better than you were 2 weeks ago. Because when you tell somebody, hey, you need to do 10,000 hours inside of a field, well, that almost might cripple somebody to be like, well, fuck that.
Yep.
Yes, okay.
No, 1,000%.
Yeah, that might be like, oh, fuck, 10,000 hours? Well, fuck that. I'd rather, 10 hours on a phone call. Fuck 100 hours. 10 hours on a prospecting sales call, you will 100x. You will sound like a completely different person than you were 2 weeks ago, or that 10 sales call or 10 hours before. Like, 10-hour rule. That's the new thing. The 10-hour rule.
Have you dropped that in the clubhouse yet?
No, I haven't. So the 10-hour rule is the new shit because I guarantee you. Sorry, and I'm gonna let you guys wrap off with it. But I can guarantee you, if somebody were to just do an hour a day of fitness for the next 10 fucking days, they'll probably get into a fucking habit. But the person that's saying it's 10,000 hours, it's like, oh my God, that's gonna take forever. Fuck that.
We have that talk all the time with our clients in fitness, and they're always like, well, I need to lose 30 pounds. Like, yeah, but you can't lose 30 without losing one, and you can't lose one without eating a fucking salad first. You know what I mean? Like, and drinking some water. So why don't we start with you drinking water and eating a salad, and we'll do that, for the next 30 days. And I bet you'll lose some fucking pounds if you do that compared to like just worrying about the weight at the end of the day and then doing nothing.
And then you feel good, you gain confidence, you gain energy,
it's a snowball
you gain
effect.
Momentum, and next you know you're like, oh shit, I'm crushing it.
Like, yeah, that's the beat to procrastination. It's like, okay, you want to beat procrastination and you're writing a book, write the title. Just go up there and I know it's hard, just write the title, and as you write the title, you get into a little bit more flow, right? So to talk about that as well, it's like, I have surgical times inside of my days where it's like, okay, for this 30 minutes, you're on the surgery bed. And what that essentially means is, if you're prospecting for 30 minutes, there's nothing else that comes in. Surgery time means you cannot leave the bed. And then what happens is I leave a little bit room outside of that surgery time, because then you get into flow, right? After that 30 minutes, you get into flow, and then you blink and it's been like 2 hours, right? But at least for that surgery time, and I surgery time the 8 priority tasks always. So what is the thing that has to get done, and what's the surgery time allocated towards that? That thing has to get eaten in the morning. It's like eat the frog or whatever the thing was, right?
Yep.
Back then. So that thing has to get done in the morning. For example, this is going to throw, I hate fitness. I hate working out.
We're going to change that.
Yeah. No, listen, I do it though. There's a difference.
Big facts there.
And I don't lie. So like I do it. I haven't been doing it for the last month. Yesterday was my first jog in the last 30 days. I jog every single day, aside from the last 30 days. Maybe a month and a half, but I do it. It's like, it's not something, whether I hate it or not. If I hate it, it gets done with right away. I don't wait to the end of the day, because then I'm going to be dreading that thing and it's never going to get done. So it gets done. It's the number one thing I hate. I wake up in the morning, I put my shoes on and I go outside for a jog. I do an outdoor workout, and then boom, it's done. It's over with. I don't need to think about it for the rest of the day.
Well, and it's not hanging over your head, right? That weight will cripple a lot of people, as you were saying. If you just get done the thing that's probably like got the fucking frog in your throat, then you won't have to stress about, oh God, I have to like send these emails out. I have to send, and then by 3 o'clock, you probably thought about it for 45 minutes when you could have just done it, gotten it over with, and moved on with your day.
Or it creeps into your sales calls. It creeps into all these other areas. So it does show up. So what do you do when it comes to your sales team and for yourself? Like, are there other like daily habits that you follow to keep yourself in tuned and aligned with yourself, your mental, your physical capacity? What are some of those other things that you do, and what do you recommend for your team so that way they can stay on tuned?
Yeah, I mean, to me, energy is the most important thing inside of sales. And I won't do anything if I'm half-ass energy. Like, if it takes another, like, for example, listen, this is so good. I texted you, Mendez, and I said, hey bro, 3:15. And that wasn't because I had a call that was going to run into 3:15. That was because I had to regain back my energy for at least 5 to 10 minutes. I had to go for a walk, and I just had to breathe, and I had to actively medicate and just disconnect, and you can only be fully present when you let go of what happened 5, 10 minutes ago, 5 hours ago, 5 days ago. Like, you are always at complete high energy, which is complete presence. Like right now, I wouldn't be able to have energy if I was thinking what's happening tomorrow and what happened 2 minutes ago or 2 hours ago or 2 weeks ago, right? Like, you have the best lunches and the best dinners with your spouse or your best friends, right? When the cell phone's tucked away and you're completely in the present, you're not thinking about what happened yesterday. So to me, it's like, hey, is there any thoughts inside of my head that I have to deflect out of here and let go in order to meet these guys at full energy, right? So even to me, like, I never give, so if somebody DMs me, I used to have the need to reply to all of these DMs and emails and blah, 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 until I said this. Well, I'm giving people half-ass right now. And this is what you got to realize. Like, it's like, there's no point of even giving this reply back to this girl that wants to know how to get a new partner or a new. Okay. So I went on a story one day and it saved me. And I said, okay, I had to think about this at nighttime. How am I going to do this differently? So I went on a story. I said, hey team, listen, I'm getting 1,000 DMs a day. It's physically impossible to reach out to all these DMs every single day. I said, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to meet you guys at complete energy every single day at 10 p.m. Eastern. So instead of me just going off on a live stream at 10 every single day, I'm going to do Q&As there so I can meet you guys at surgical time, 10 complete energy. So I'm not giving you scraps of my energy and you guys can have my full undivided attention. And that way I feel like this is the zone to pour it all into you guys rather than just giving you the scraps of my energy. So that's one. Number two, I always look at this, because you talked about alignment, which is super important. I always say this to myself. I keep my energy in check, which, by the way, energy is this. Like, it's your self-esteem. Your self-esteem is how good you feel about yourself. That's your energy core. Like, this is what self-esteem is. How good does Daniel feel about himself?
Can you repeat that? Can you repeat that one more time? Because I think people miss that a majority of their life where they think that they're going to go get energy from someone else. Oh, I got to surround myself from people who got high energy, who are successful. No, those people are attracted by you and what you bring to the table and your energy. So you repeat that one more time and then continue.
Your self-esteem is is derived, your energy core, how good you feel about yourself. That's your self-esteem. Like when you feel shitty about yourself, your energy is low. Your self-esteem is low, your energy is low. That's how it is. If I feel good about myself, that doesn't come from nobody. Just like you said, bro, that comes from you. It's like, hey, listen, if I feel good about myself, my self-esteem is high. That means my energy is high. Now the question is, people are asking, well, Dan, how do you get your self-esteem high? How do you feel good about yourself? Well, went back to what Mendez was saying when he said, hey, listen, alignment. So I'm going to show you guys what I mean by that. If I know I want to, let's just say, lose 30 pounds and I want to have this picture perfect six pack.
I hope you call me.
That's who I want to be. That's who I want to be next month. That's who I want to be in 5 months down the road. Dream body, it's on the vision board, whatever, right? But every single day I wake up, so that's who I want to be like, my ideal person. But every single day I wake up, the action that I put in is completely unaligned towards that person. When the person I want to be like and the person I am like every single day is unaligned, I feel bad about myself. My self-esteem is down. My energy is down. When the person I want to be like is in complete alignment, like the person I am like right now. So if I want to make $1 million and I'm putting in a lot of work and I'm doing the things to make $1 million, well, I feel good about myself. My self-esteem is high. My energy is high. You always feel bad about yourself when you know you want one thing, but you're doing something else every single day. Your self-esteem is low. It's like, okay, I want a marriage. Okay. Or you want that 150? Yes, that's what I want. Okay, but you're texting 18 guys or women right now. You know you're gonna feel shitty about yourself because you say you want one thing, but I've been through it. Like, we've all been fucking victims of it in one aspect when we felt shitty about ourselves. I'm like, oh, I feel low energy because I feel like crap about myself, and I feel like crap about myself because I said I want one thing, but I'm doing something else and I'm showing up as somebody else every single day. So I know that self-esteem is low, which basically like your energy core is gonna be low, right?
I love that you brought that up and we were talking about this because it's like, even in business, like, you know, even I've done it many times and now I'm just like, okay, really hounding it on my 4 pillars. But it's like most of the time we prioritize business first always instead of prioritizing the other things that really are going to make us who we are and what we really want in life, right? So we're talking about, yo, you want that dream bod? Okay, we're still focused on our business, ignoring how to get to that dream bod, thinking that, okay, we keep focusing here. Eventually we're going to be able to get to these other things we want to do instead of working working it the other way around, where it's like, okay, health first. That's how I look at it. Health first, self-care. So health meaning is your food intact, your nutrition? Are you being physically active? Are you putting good stuff into your soul? Is your mindset on point? And then self-care is, are you dating yourself? So are you making time to take yourself out? Meaning, hey, there's a hobby you like to do. Okay, I'm going to go once a week. I'm going to do that hobby just by myself, not with anybody else. That's my me time. And then going into your family could be, if you have your kids, if it's your significant other or your parents, your cousins, whatever it is, spending time with them, or simply just sending them a message out saying, hey, I love you. I'm thinking about you. Hope you're all well. So that way you're not thinking about those things like, shit, I fucked up. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. And then it seeps into your business. And then business being the last thing, you do these 3 things, it pours into your business. And then now you're like, okay, now my business is running well because I got all these other 3 things running well.
Well, I can see it slipping when I don't put my health as a priority, right? I see it dip into my sales calls. I see it dip into the way that I'm, acting around other people. And then I'm like, fuck, I got to get back on that. And the second that I start training again, the second I start putting good food in my body, second I start taking time for my mental health, it's a whole game changer.
Yeah, that is so man. And I think it's so, again, undervalued again in sales. And it obviously is part of your guys' podcast, as a health and fitness part and the mental part as well. Everybody thinks like they could just grind it out. It's like, well, dude, if you're 160 pounds overweight,
it's going to be tough.
I am going to be more mentally focused. I'm going to have the stamina, to push through. Some people ask, they're like, yo, do you smoke? And I said, well, no. And if it is, it's like occasionally. And the reason being is because I don't want to be slowed down throughout the day. I need to be fully alert throughout the day. I need to be there throughout the day. So this requires energy. If you're really pushing 12 hours out of the day, it's like, it's the body before anything else. The body is what's pushing it. And I think another thing, which is super funny, it's like, then not just like the weight and the energy, it's also the sleep thing. Like so many people, they look at me and they know I push hard every single day. And they're like, well, how many hours of sleep? Like this guy must not sleep. And I said, you got it fucked up. Like I do sleep. And it can only go for so long. If you're trying to beat me in sleep and say you sleep 6 hours, Dan, I'm going to sleep 3. Well, cool. You'll do that for week 1, week 2, and week 3, and then you'll burn out week 4. You have a human body. Like as much as you want to be fucking cool and sleep 3 hours, well, nice, dude, you're going to burn out on the 2nd week, the 3rd week, the 4th week. And I've done it when I was also a healthy, fit, and young individual. I'm 27 now. I started being on the road at the age of 24. And I was in tip-top shape, athletic shape, okay, probably under 8% body fat, 8-pack abs, was doing almost half a marathon every other day, 21 kilometers. And I played squash, which is a very intense sport.
Oh, yeah.
And I was playing that every single day. I had a squash racket in my bag too while I was traveling. So I was at tip-top shape. Business was doing great. I was feeling good about my business. And even then, if I try to stay up for 2 weeks on 3.5 hours and I was young, it still wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
It still wouldn't happen. I would burn out. Doesn't matter if you're passionate about, you're going to burn out. Your body's going to say, hey, listen, okay? And another thing, which people also don't talk about, is your body requires rest and restfulness, meaning it also requires to say, hey, because it's a mental thing as well. It's like, are you at war with yourself throughout the day? Because if you're at war with yourself throughout the day, you're going to be like you said, Anthony, you're going to be a lot more tired throughout the day. Like anytime when you're young and you've cried when your parents are fighting or they didn't give you what you wanted, you went to bed a lot earlier because you've been exhausted. You've been crying. So if you're at work and you're constantly stressed, your body requires restfulness. So if you're at war with yourself, you're going to require a lot more sleep after that because you're not rested throughout the day. If you're doing something you like, you're at peace throughout the day. You find these days to have a little bit of gaps, that'll have a little bit of error. You're not always fighting everything and you're not always going against the flow and the grid of things. Your body might not require nine hours of sleep. Maybe it'll require 7, maybe it'll require 6. So it's not exactly, it's how restful you are throughout the day as well. That's why people meditate. That's why people don't go at war with themselves. That's why people have peace with themselves. They can require maybe a little bit less sleep, but they're rested throughout the day as well. Big thing that nobody talks about.
Oh, it's huge, man. It's completely underrated. And before we wrap things up today, we don't want to take up too much of your time. We know, we know you're very busy as well. I just want to say thank you. I mean, you've really opened up my eyes, and I can imagine definitely our audience as well, into, you know, just what it takes to be successful in sales, at least from a little nuanced side on the personal level, and what you need to do as an individual. So, you know, I really want to thank you, you know, for coming on and sharing your knowledge and your expertise with our audience. How can people reach out to you if they have any more questions, or they want to learn more about your services and how they can get involved?
Yeah, I mean, just the easiest way is my Instagram. I think it's super simple, just Daniel G. You know, I always say, and this pisses off a lot of sales coaches, but you know, if you don't want to spend money, if you don't want to buy a course or whatever the fucking case, just go look at my Instagram. Like, I'm genuinely saying this, go save yourself $5,000 and chill out on my Instagram for 1 hour. The objection you've been thinking about is probably on my Instagram. The answer in sales you've probably been looking for is literally on my Instagram. There's hours of content on there, video content, where you could just scroll through and honestly just go through. So there's so much fucking value in there on my Instagram. And I think coaches should also learn from that. You know, I don't think you should always be holding things behind the curtains. Like, here are my 3 tips, and the 4th one you have to pay for. Mm-hmm. I put out everything on my Instagram.
No,
whatever
well, it's about application,
he
right?
puts out everything. I've been on his IG lives.
It's about application.
Like, IG lives are easily a $50,000 yearly mastermind. I always say that. My team hates me still till today. So I have 2 sides of my company. One, sales agency. Other side, Daniel G sales training, right? Daniel G sales training, we call it the broke, busted, and disgusted side. Listen, I make money off of it, and because I have a business that produces 7 figures plus, my sales agency, right? This is the shit I like doing. I make money off my sales training as well. But the thing is, it's like, you know, there's trainers out there have courses for $5,000, $50,000, and I genuinely just love going on a live stream and interacting with my audience that can't afford $50,000 or $5,000. And I've been doing that every single day for 10-10. Then you got guys that are like, yo, are you going to, you know, drop a masterclass or a course? I'm like, nah, fuck it. I just like going live at 10-10. And by the way, I told him this, I'm like, if I do feel like doing that in 5 years down the road, 3 years down the road, I'm like, you know, I take care of the people that has always liked, commented, and shared my stuff. And I don't think my other side of my business would be where I am at today, my agency, and I wouldn't have these connections with you, and I wouldn't be on this podcast if it wasn't for my audience engaging and supporting and sharing. And I genuinely mean that. It's like, I think coaches get too exclusive at one point in their career where they don't feel the need to reply back. They don't feel the need to go on live streams, whatever the case is. And I had coaches come up to me and they're like, yo, you're getting a little, you know, non-exclusive with your audience. And there's a lot of guys in the space that are like, it's never going to work that way because you give everybody access to you. Well, I'm like, well, Dick, it's social media. And the whole point is to socialize. And I don't forget about the people that, you know, got to me where I got today. And these people are going to continue to support me. And I don't got to sell them shit. And I'm just building the brand and building the vision. If I got a book that comes out a year down, they'll buy the fucking book. You know what I mean? Like, I poured into them. If they want everything in one centralized system in an organized format, they'll fucking pay $100 for it or $500 for it or $1,000 for it. If they want to go a little bit deeper on the videos, because I got a minute on an Instagram video and they want to learn more about, maybe they'll join a course. But if not, the information's there and they could get, you know, they could break it down for themselves if they can't afford it, if they don't want to buy from me. And that's totally cool, you know?
Yeah, 100%.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. Yo, his IG lives are lit. I'm telling you, like, no, and on top of that,
Mendez sent me a couple. I've been like,
yeah,
damn.
And on top of that, I'm like, yo, the women love Daniel G.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, no, I have to address this because there's guys inside of my inbox, like the hater guys, right? They're like, bro, why is it always women, blah, 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 blah. And I said, well, why not? No. The
why
question
not
was,
exactly?
Like, why? Like, I'm in a clubhouse room. It says woman empowerment. I'm fucking going inside.
Done.
The heck? Why not? First of all, I'm single, don't have kids, right? and here's the deal. This is why, like, women are crushing it right now.
And
right?
now you got a ton of those Monet girls coming running around. So let's go.
So well, here's the thing. It's like, what people don't realize is that, you know, as women start crushing it inside a business, there's such a bigger market to train females because they're starting to, like, you know, take over. And I'm seeing this from direct sales companies, just not Monet, hundreds of other companies. And what I start to realize, it's like, hey, and by the way, like, women shop.
Oh yeah.
And
I'm
billionaires-
divorced. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, like
Yeah, I'll
you
tell
go
you.
ask-
They love to
They
shop.
shopped you, bro.
Oh. My God.
Like you go ask a guy that has a woman's product, hey, you want to make $1 million? Sell to men. You want to make $1 billion? Sell to women.
Big facts. 100%.
Go inside
10
of a
billion.
mall. Yeah, go inside of a mall. See 80% of the people inside of the woman. Up and down that mall, just sit outside with a lawn chair and you'll see who's walking that woman.
Yep.
Okay, well, why wouldn't you want to train them how to sell? There's a market there. Why wouldn't you want to train them on how to sell other women? There's a market there. And I train guys how to sell other women. There's a market there. I train guys how to, think of female products as well. There's a market there, huge market there. So it's just and you know what? I've trained a lot of female-based teams. So that's, I guess, why the market opened up for a lot of females. But yeah.
Love it, bro. That's why you're crushing it.
Support.
I'm telling you, man, it's so funny because when I first went in there, I was like, am I the only dude in here? And I remember I commented, I was like, women. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh shit. But then I look and I went into their pin. I was like, yo, this is crazy. I was like, yo, Daniel's like really doing some really cool stuff in here. And it's just really cool to see the way that you overall, navigate yourself, the way you've created yourself, the way you put yourself out there, the way you've over-deliver, because I'll say the word over-deliver. And I think it's so true, man. Like, as coaches, even myself, we find times where we tend to want to sit back and hide behind the curtain and say, well, if I give too much, they're not going to buy the products, right? And then again, if I give too little, well, they're not going to even be interested in me. So, I think you've done an amazing job of just putting yourself out there, and that's why you have so many participants coming into your Zooms, coming into your lives, and, wanting to work with you, man. And I think it's truly amazing. And just want to say personally, thank you for coming on here. Thank you for spending time with both of us. And, thank you for all the knowledge you've been sharing. And
You got to get out of the cold. You got to come to Miami, man.
Yeah.
I will definitely 150%. I'm planning on it soon. It's my first stop, by the way. Like right after once I get back on the road, I start traveling out. Miami's the first stop.
It's buck wild right now. Get ready. Bring your riot gear.
You guys are living it up in Miami.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you guys having me. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
And before we end, I always say one last question to all our guests. What's the biggest piece of advice you can leave off to all our listeners today in one sentence?
Never neglect what got you to chapter 10, because those things will take you to chapter 20. And people say what take you to chapter 10 will not take you to chapter 20. But I think there's so much secret sauce that got you to chapter 10 where you should quadruple down on those things that got you to chapter 10 in order to get to chapter 20. Delete what doesn't work, repeat what does.
Love that.
Yeah, 100%. One last time, thanks, man. We really appreciate you coming on. Make sure you guys go check him out on Instagram, Daniel G, dropping straight fire every day. Woo!
Guys, wait.
Appreciate
And the 1010s IG lives, you guys got to go in those.
Oh, I'm about to start joining those every week. Until next
Appreciate you
time, guys.
Seriously, thank you.